All right, welcome to The Explainer. We are talking about the biggest game of the year, the College Football National Championship. And wow, what a first half. Almost no one saw this coming. We're going to dive into exactly how Indiana just completely shut down Miami to build a shocking 10-point lead.
So the halftime whistle blows, and you've got a heavily favored Miami team just staring at a shutout, a double-digit deficit. The big question is, how did this even happen? How did one team look so dominant and the other so completely out of sorts? Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, that 10-0 on the scoreboard, it's not just points, right? It's the whole story of the first 30 minutes of this championship. It represents one team's game plan working to perfection and the other team just completely falling apart at the seams. Okay, so where did it all begin? Well, it started with Indiana's defense. From the very first snap, they just came out and set a physical tone that defined the entire half. Miami's offense, this powerhouse all year, right? It just completely seized up. They couldn't stay on the field. They went 0 for the half on third downs. Their QB, Beck, you could just see the frustration building as his O-line was getting manhandled. And then the exclamation point, this huge sack by Indiana's captain, Aiden Fizer. It just sucked all the life right out of that Miami sideline. And this quote just nails it. Right after that Fizer sack, the commentator said it perfectly. The Hoosiers are flexing. And that's exactly what it was. This wasn't just playing good defense. It was a statement. It was physical, it was emotional, and it was them saying, we are in complete control of this game. But hey, you can't win a championship with defense alone, right? So while their D was basically a brick wall, Indiana's offense was just patient, methodical, and absolutely ruthless when they needed to be. They didn't need the flashy plays. They just had to execute.
So how'd they get those 10 points? Well, it really came down to two key drives, and each one tells a slightly different but equally important story about how the Hoosiers approached this first half.
Okay, first drive. They just come out and lean on Miami. A long, grinding 12-play drive. It wasn't flashy, a mix of runs, short, safe passes, just chewing up the clock, wearing down that Hurricanes defense. And then they calmly punch in a 34-yard field goal. First blood to the Hoosiers. And then came the dagger, an 85-yard touchdown march that was just a masterclass in picking apart a defense. It started with a quick pass that turned into a huge gain because of a broken tackle. Then, a huge, costly penalty on Miami keeps the drive alive. Indiana just took every single gift Miami handed them. Kylan Black breaks off a huge 21-yard run, and it's all capped off by a touchdown pass where, honestly, the Miami defenders looked more interested in stripping the ball than actually making the tackle. Look, as great as Indiana played, let's be real, Miami gave them a ton of help. This half was really defined by Miami's unforced errors, these mental mistakes that just happened at the absolute worst times.
You remember that touchdown drive we just talked about? Well, it probably shouldn't have even happened. But a really obvious pass interference penalty gave Indiana a free 15 yards and a fresh set of downs. It was a classic drive-extending mistake that a team like Miami just can't afford to make in a championship game.
And yeah, on the touchdown play itself, the announcers were all over it. Instead of wrapping up the receiver and bringing him down, the Miami guys were swiping at the football, trying for the highlight reel strip. That's a breakdown in fundamentals, and it turned what should have been a short gain into the only touchdown of the half. So even after all of that, all the mistakes, Miami gets one last shot, a final drive right before the half to get some points, to steal back a little momentum, and just go into the locker room feeling like they're still in this thing. And how does it end? Well, just like this, a 50-yard field goal attempt that hits the upright. Doink, no good. Could you write a more perfect, frustrating summary for a half where literally nothing went right for the Hurricanes? So that brings us to the coaches. How are they seeing this complete mismatch of a first half? Well, their sideline interviews on the way to the locker room tell you everything you need to know about where their heads are at. And the contrast here is just fascinating. You've got Miami's coach, Mario Cristobal, looking inward. His whole thing is, we got to fix our own stuff. He knows his team is beating themselves, but then you have Indiana's coach, Curt, who, even with a 10-point lead, is going after the officials, complaining about missed calls. So one coach is focused on his team, the other's focused on the refs. Totally different mindsets. And yeah, the stats absolutely back this up. Indiana with 169 yards of total offense. Miami? Well, let's just say it was significantly less. It's a perfect way to put it, really. A complete statistical domination that matches what we saw on the field.
So this all leads to the big halftime question, right? Was this just a fluke, an unbelievably bad half for Miami? Or is Indiana just plain better? With the Hoosiers getting the ball to start the third quarter, we're about to find out real quick if Miami can fix its own stuff, or if this beatdown is just the start of a championship coronation.